Right. I've not done one of these before, so I'm not sure how to share my screen.
Was about to say, do we need to? Will Holly be able to share a screen, or do we need to like switch over?
She will be, yes. So it is. If you look along the bottom,
Mhm.
you'll have a green button with an arrow pointing up. It should say
Oh,
share. If you
yeah, it
click
was
on
right
that,
in front of my face.
there you go.
Okay, cool.
Whilst you're sharing your screen, I just thought I'll give you. We've obviously already introduced you, Holly, but for everyone on the call, here's Holly.
Oh, yeah.
Holly is currently in a junior marketing role for a fabulous company, and she is actually an ex-base camper. So up until recently, she was very much in your shoes, so understands what you guys are going through. She worked really hard with her applications, and she's now in a role. So she's come back really kindly to say hi and obviously, talk about your experiences. And we've got a presentation which will be lovely. So whenever you're ready, Holly, I'll give you the floor.
Yeah, cool. Can you all see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, amazing. This is my first time doing a screen share, so I'm not quite sure how it's gonna go. So I was in cohort 8, I believe, and I started in January, and now I am a marketing coordinator. I'm a marketing coordinator at a B2B business. We're called Versalift, and we do van mounted access platforms. And my main focus is social media. I do all the content and all the strategy at the minute, and I have to cover 3 different brands. We've got Versalift UK, Versalift Ireland, and Roofman UK. So I cover all the brands. I actually did not start out doing marketing. I started off studying forensic psychology at university, and I was maybe there a couple of months before I had to drop out because I found out that I was pregnant and I was just too sick to continue with my course. And then when I dropped out, I sort of was a bit stuck, didn't really know what I wanted to do, wasn't sure how I was going to go forward, earn money, make a career, any of that. But I know I was passionate about social media. I'm sure lots of people, especially my age, are avid scrollers on all sorts of platforms, especially TikTok at the minute. And then obviously because I had been studying forensic psychology at university, I knew I was passionate about that. And as well as writing, which naturally drew me to marketing as you have copywriting, you influence buying decisions, and obviously social media marketing. And I started off with the Google course for digital marketing fundamentals, and I completed that, and I thought it was a good base to start with, but I probably couldn't get into a entry level role with just that as my background. So then I decided to do Basecamp Skills and started in January, and I had Jo as my mentor, and she was really great. She really helped me tailor my CV, and we had some good chats in our mentor sessions about which avenue I would want to go down as opposed to just being a general digital marketer. And I said that I really wanted to be involved in social media and influence marketing. And I ended up, once leaving Basecamp, completing more courses. I did a virtual work experience with SpringPod, lots of HubSpot courses. Arcadium do some courses as well. And I just was trying to build up my knowledge, build up my experience, as well as looking at there's lots of different resources that I found that were really useful when it came to marketing. Grad Girl Marketing is really great. I love that. Girls in Marketing, they offer lots of courses as well, and I'm doing the internship course in a couple of weeks' time. And then I started my job hunt after leaving Basecamp, and I had tailored my CV to each job that I was applying to. And if you've applied to jobs already, then you might know it's a lot of resounding no's to begin with, and lots of entry level roles that often ask for more experience than perhaps you have, and that's all fine. I would just say that tuning into the different aspects of your actual experience and highlighting those are really good. And then I got offered a couple of interviews, and on my first interview with Versalift, I heard back a couple of days later saying that I got the job as marketing coordinator. So what I actually do in my role, although it's quite a generalist role, I cover mainly the social side. I do dabble in email marketing and SEO and things like that, but it is mainly to do with social media. So every month I will create a content calendar, and the calendar is based off of analytics that I will have pulled from the month before. And I use this calendar and it aligns with our strategy. Now, the strategy, we're changing it at the minute, but it was previously very product based and it was great, it was working. However, not really getting a lot of value and not really speaking to our customers. So we're changing that at the minute, and I'm completely working on a new strategy across the board for all of the brands and for all of the different platforms. We have to make sure in B2B, I'm not sure if this varies for B2C, that we align with our sales strategy. So we'll often have meetings with the sales team to make sure that we're all aligned, we're all on the same page. We've just had like a day meeting the other week where we spoke about what customers want, what questions are they asking, what are their pain points. We had a really good brainstorm session, and we're using all of this to inform our new strategy. Some things I've done so far, I've wrote plenty of scripts and filmed loads of videos, and I'm working on editing quite a lot at the minute. I'm only in CapCut, however, I'm doing lots of courses. So I'm currently learning how to edit in Adobe Premiere Pro, because I know Adobe is really, really big in the marketing world. So that's what I do. Every month I say we film a couple of videos. I've done some reels, and we've done some like proper professional like walk around videos as well. I also design graphics for social media. Graphics for me don't perform as well on social platforms because of the platforms that we use. However, that's not to say that it's not very important within social media to know how to design a really effective graphic. I really like enjoying graphics. It was one of the first things that I did. We did a graphic surrounding Men's Mental Health Week, and it was really interesting. It was a carousel that we did, and we had a theme to go with it. I run 3 LinkedIn accounts. I run the Island, the UK, and then the Roofman account. And I also run just Versalift UK Facebook account. And with all the content calendars, I have to have an individual one for each platform, for each account, because they are so different. Obviously, and they each have their own strategy. So for Facebook, I always find that people posts and community building are super, super important. I've posted like graphics on there or spoken about events, and they never do as well as, let's say, an employee of the month or a charity thing we've done or some events we've had going on internally. People posts always do really well. As well as LinkedIn. LinkedIn we used to just do, it's traditionally a business and sales platform, but we've sort of turned it into more of an educational platform for us, for our customers. So we will inform them about safety, maintenance, as well as the history, and it's becoming more of a brand focused platform for us. We mainly do organic social media. We haven't done any paid, but I think we are moving towards that. But because the brand really before was very much just events, they weren't very digitally focused, we've had to sort of build up the accounts individually, and they've grown massively since we've started being consistent and posting consistently. But I think being organic to begin with is great, because then you've got something to fall back on. You can throw all the money that you want at social media, but it's not going to work if you're not providing organic value. I do daily engagements as a really important part of social media. So I'm constantly interacting with other people's posts as well as comments on our own. And at the minute, we're starting a TikTok account, which is a very older generation that are in this industry. So it was a bit of pushback to create a TikTok. But I think after seeing how well our videos have done and our reels, we sort of realized it's naturally where we're going to go. The shorter videos and having like lots of fun with it is definitely a way better way for people to consume content. Everyone just wants to be entertained at the end of the day. And these are probably my most important takeaways from social media at the minute. So analytics, every month I will cut out 2-3 days at the beginning of the month, and I will pull all of the analytics off of all the accounts. This is our analytics that I've pulled just from Facebook this month, and as you can see, virtually everything is in the green at the minute. We've had huge rises in engagement because of the new strategy and the new types of content that we've been implementing. And one of the most important things that I got told was analytics is so important, because how do you know if something's working if you've got nothing to measure it against? It's just like shots in the dark, really. So always pull in your analytics every month. Sometimes people will do it more often, weekly even. But it's just important to see what's working, what's not working. If you've changed up your strategy, is it having a good effect, or is it just not making much of a difference? If so, go back to the drawing board. The rise of EGC, which is employee generated content. As I said, people posts do really well for us, and that is showing our employees. And it's becoming way more popular. I don't know if you guys have seen, but especially on TikTok, Currys have just done a really viral post with their employees about how Gen Z have like scripted their video, and it's really funny, got lots of people talking, and that's a perfect example of EGC. They're showing the actual employees. Boots do a lot as well, and one of my favorites is Chevrolet Mohawk, and it's because it's sort of within my industry at the minute, where they completely show their employees in an office style TikTok video, and it's really good. If you haven't seen it, you should definitely watch it. But that's definitely something to take note of with whatever sort of industry you go in. The EGC is doing really well at the minute. And daily engagements are also something that I've found to be one of the most effective tools within social media. So every day I block out some time in the morning and some time in the afternoon to go through all of our feeds, like, comment, as well as make sure anything on our page that has comments or messages I'm responding to. You need to make sure that you're sharing, liking, commenting, just all the rules of engagement, because that's how you will get engagement in return. And I've just found that that's been really effective at starting conversations within our own comments as well as other people's comment sections. And it just sort of puts you in the face of the customer. If I've commented on a customer who's posted one of our products, someone can see that we're really active on social media. It's a positive review and we're commenting to it, and we're just in the forefront of their mind. That's sort of it for now. You can find me on LinkedIn or TikTok, and if anyone's got any questions.
Thank you for that, Holly. That was brilliant. It's probably quite a nice break for everyone, with it being quite a tech heavy sort of week, with it being PPC week. So this is probably quite a nice welcome break. And I like the way that you've spoken about how much the analytical side of things, if we're talking about analytics, has such a direct impact on the whole marketing for the business, you know, how it all works together. I always say, like, in marketing, it's like the engine of a car. You've got each part of the engine represents a different part of marketing. So you'll have PPC, organic, you know, blah, blah, blah. and it all works together. So it's nice to see how like the impacts of using analytics then how that leads then on into your role. So that was amazing. It sounds like you're absolutely thriving in the position that you're in. So let's open up the floor for some questions. Really, there's a question in the chat for. Hang on, I've just lost it. Let me go back up. Jax asked, how many leads are you getting per week/month from organic social?
So we've had a couple of messages which we then count as leads, and we put them on HubSpot at the minute and send them through to our sales guys. We've had a couple, but we're still building up the platform. But one of our main lead generators at the minute is email marketing, and we're completely redoing our website as well at the minute. It's just a big refresh, so it will be interesting to see if we get any more leads from there as well. But social's definitely one for me that's more about brand awareness as opposed to leads.
And then Jack's also asked if you're able to share some of your top performing posts on LinkedIn or Facebook. So perhaps, can you like tell us an example of a post on either LinkedIn or Facebook that has done well, and what maybe is the reason why you think it has done so well?
So one of our big posts has been a storytelling post about an apprenticeship that we had, and I wrote it and shared a photo of the apprentice, and lots of people really liked it and responded to it well. It showed that the business was supporting, professional development, and it's just a success story that just did really well. For some reason, people posts just do incredible. We've had a couple of good Facebook ones as well. One of the best performing ones is a reel, actually, that I filmed. It's a bit silly. It was an Olympic torch run that we did as a company, and I had to sprint around after everyone carrying this torch, and I had to film it, and then I edited it all at the end of the day and put some Mission Impossible music over it, and that did really well. That was one of our most liked videos we've ever had.
Lovely. And I think Lucy, you had your hand up first.
Hi. That was really good to watch. It was really interesting. But I was just wondering, because this was like your first marketing job, when I'm gonna be applying for marketing jobs, were you like nervous to go into your first role? Did you feel like you kind of knew everything going into it? Because I know you said you did lots of extra courses as well, and were you kind of learning on the job or doing extra research around it? More like imposter syndrome, like,
yeah.
How did you feel that, or did you feel very confident like in the first when you started?
I definitely had that, and I don't know why, but I kept getting the intrusive thought of like, they're gonna know that I don't know what I'm doing, they're gonna fire me, and that absolutely wasn't the case. They've always been super supportive and complimentary of everything I've done. So I would say just trust that you do know what you're doing. There is a lot of learning on the job though, and asking questions. I was super nervous to ask questions, but it's one of the best things I've done, because it's so much better than getting something wrong and having negative feedback, as opposed to asking the questions and making sure you're getting it right in the first place. But yeah, definitely a lot of that, but you do get over it.
Okay, thank you. That's really helpful.
I guess that kind of answers, because there's a question in the chat about how did you find your job at the beginning. So obviously you've spoken there about how there was that imposter syndrome, and that just being confident asking the questions on things that you got stuck on, it was key for you. So was there anything else that you experienced when you very first started the role?
So I have two people that are superior to me at the minute. I had an executive and a manager, and I was underneath both of them. And one of the really useful things I found was sort of their mentorship. The executive in particular had done a lot of agency work and had been in marketing for like 10 plus years. Like, she really knew what she was doing, and she definitely took me under her wing. I will say that if your work gets criticized, do not take it to heart whatsoever. I've had work be sent back and them say, that's not what I asked for at all. And it's completely fine. It's just difference in opinion, different perspectives. So I was definitely always nervous when I got something sent back and was told that's not what we're looking for. But it's just perseverance and sort of keeping your head held high.
Sarah, you've got your hand up.
Hiya, Holly. I was just gonna ask, I've worked in a lot of B2B spaces and then like LinkedIn and Facebook and stuff. So I understand when you sound like obviously we're a forklift company and it's quite hard to get people involved. But when you were talking about EGC, I just wondered if you had any tips on how to get the employees actually excited to do stuff, because you know, you talked about pushback, and what I found in the past is when I'm like, oh, let's do this video, let's get this sorted, it's been like, no, I don't want to. Or even if it's like, why don't you write on LinkedIn about this, and you try and be all, and they're like, no, you can't make me, it's not part of my job role. I was just wondering if you had any tips on sort of how to overcome that, because I'm sure working in a forklift company, there is, you know, you are going to have some people who've been there for years who, you know, do know how the business works in ways that you aren't familiar with, but then when you try and suggest new things, they're like, absolutely not. So I just wanted to know if you had any advice on how to kind of win those people over.
Yeah, so I've had some people that were there longer than I've been born. That's how like very stuck in their ways that they are. And at first when I started filming videos, especially when I was running around after the torches, they were like, customers aren't going to be happy to see this. Like, why are we doing this? This isn't one we should be spending our time on. And completely got it. But the way that I started introducing it is we did sort of event videos. So one of the ones that we did was the Euros. I went round and got all of the guys to go like, come on England, and shout for a video. It took up like 2 seconds of their time and they all thought the video was really funny in the end. They all really loved it. So I'd say find things that are relevant to them. It's a really male dominated industry for me, so I've sort of got to figure out how I approach them. They can definitely be more moody than women, so you've sort of got to sweet talk as well as find something that's in it for them. They all really loved shouting come on England. They thought it was great fun. I worked with HR quite a bit to do some events for them so that they would enjoy, but also I could document it. So we did a wear your own football shirt day, and for Olympics we had like an international food day, all things that I could document that they don't have to necessarily be involved in, but it's still good company culture. So I'd say working with HR really helped as well.
What an amazing answer. That was brilliant. Yeah, what a good point. You know, it's not just about the company's audience, it's about the people that are in the company itself, and getting their support and onboarding. It's knowing what their interests are. So it's getting in the minds of everyone, isn't it? That was Jack's also asked, can you give a walkthrough as to how to go about gathering analytics and what tools you use?
Yeah, so you can use tools to sort of just pull it all in. I personally like to go on each of the accounts and I'll write down all the different factors that I want to take into consideration, and I'll put it in an Excel sheet, and I'll do the month before and in the month that I'm doing now, and I'll show the percentage, either growth or decrease. And then after all of that, I'll take note of the audience, if there's been any change in the audience. With LinkedIn, you can sort of see the industries people are in. So recently we've noticed a big rise in the construction industry, and we're now going to write posts based on the construction industry and their interest. After all of that, I've pulled all the analytics. I'll put it into a social report where I'll put the negatives and the positives of the month, and then I'll also do some actionable points of things to change that then I'll implement into our content calendars.
Okay, Rory, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, so just touching on something you said before, I guess it might be industry specific, but you said that you find for social posts, it's more about driving brand awareness, not necessarily kind of business leads. I'm just wondering what areas you think specific to what you're doing, you find that drives leads rather than just sort of brand awareness.
Yeah, so email marketing's been really huge for us. We've had lots of leads off of emails, and we're currently coming up with a whole new way to do emails, as well as everything else that we're trying to do at the minute. Because we've had so many leads from emails, we're trying to figure out incentives and other things to interest people. One of the things I've had to do, which I've never done before, was I had to clean up all of our data. I had to go through, find all the duplicates on HubSpot, find people that hadn't interacted with our emails in a while, and just clean it all up to have the most effective delivery rates, and then it doesn't bounce back as much, and your email health looks a lot better at the end of it. And that's how I found to have the best leads and the best conversion. We have some leads from the website, but our website's really outdated at the minute, so we're doing a lot of work when it comes to creating a completely new website. We've got the wireframe and everything, and at the minute we're just writing the content for it. And actually, my manager's hiring for a new executive who's SEO based and website based. It is local, however, though, so I'm not sure how local everyone is, but it's sort of within Northamptonshire, Kettering and Leicester sort of area we'd be looking.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I'll follow up with that with you on that. Expect an email from me. But that's a nice little insight. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sure we'll have people in that sort of area. Yeah, I'll come to you about that one actually.
Yeah, it's on my LinkedIn if anyone wants to find the link to apply.
Oh yeah, your LinkedIn. I'll put your actual link in there as well, so people can go and have a look straight away. Nina, you've asked a question on sharing some more tips for a first role. Can you just let me know if what we've covered there was okay, or did you have any more questions about sort of first roles, things like that? So I'll move on from that one. So Zayden, for entry-level roles, which sites do you recommend to use to find roles? I'm having a common issue where majority of roles require a minimum of 2 to 4 years experience.
Yeah, it's definitely frustrating because entry-level roles should be entry-level, and quite often they're not now. And especially with the salary that they're trying to give you for that much experience, it's not great. I personally found Indeed to be quite helpful because I'm not in a big city. Finding local jobs was really good, so I'd apply for a lot on Indeed. Obviously, LinkedIn has quite a lot, but as we found from hiring on LinkedIn, you get lots of people who aren't even in the country who will apply for those jobs. So I found LinkedIn to actually not be that great for me, even though they do list loads of jobs. Something else that's also quite helpful, and it's a little bit stalkerish, is to try and find either the manager or whoever's recruiting and directly email them, because that way you're not within all the other noise of everyone else applying and they're just going through really quickly. It's very direct. So I'd say Indeed was really good for me if you're not in a major city, as well as directly emailing people is quite useful as well.
There's a question in the chat. What do you use to design your graphics? Did you have any previous experience with graphic design prior to the role, or did you start using it at work?
So Canva's a big one. I think we covered a lot of Canva when I was in Basecamp, but I use Canva a lot, and at the minute I'm still learning Adobe, but Adobe's also a really good one for graphics. Adobe covers it's got Creative Suite, and it's got also like videos and other aspects. I'm just learning Adobe Acrobat at the minute and Premiere Pro, but I think that's also quite a good one to use. I didn't have loads of experience with graphic design. I did it like in school and then at Basecamp, and that was it. But it's something that I've definitely learned to develop, and it's one of my stronger skills now because I've done it for social media. If you were to ask me to do it for perhaps like a website, it might be a different story. But for social media, I'm pretty confident with them now.
Okay. And there's a question asking, can you give an average work day rundown on what your day is like?
So the first hour I will spend doing the daily engagements normally, where I'll go through and like other posts, comment on other posts, and also check our own, check if there's any comments. After that, I tend to work on the social content that I've got planned for that day. I have to get everything approved by my manager, so I just send it off, and sometimes we end up going back and forth with graphics or the copywriting. Writing's quite a big one because it's B2B. We have to be careful about what we say. It's got to seem professional, while also, because these platforms are social media platforms, it's got to still be personable. So sometimes we'll go back and forth on that. And my morning's normally spent doing social posts, and then in the afternoon I also block off time again for engagements. And then normally I'll do a little bit of learning in the afternoon because my job's quite open to me still doing courses. My manager herself's just done a girls in marketing course, so she's very much open to me still learning skills and developing my skills, because as she says, I'm not going to be there forever, so definitely working on my own development's great, but I'll do some of that in the afternoon. And then as well as email marketing, we're coming up with new emails, whatever we're working on at that time, whether it's SEO, content for the website, if coming up with new strategy, that will be the rest of my focus for the afternoon. It sort of depends day to day. But yeah, lots of social media.
I'm sure, I think I might be imagining things, but is there a question that's been deleted in the chat about, I'm sure it said something about, do you work on your own or do you work like with a team? Whoever asked that question, am I imagining that?
No, I saw that as well.
Where's it gone?
I'm not sure where it's gone, but yeah, I definitely saw that at one point.
Ah,
it's already been answered.
okay. Yeah. I really thought I was going Delulu then.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, it's just me and my manager at the minute. The executive has literally just left, and that's why we're now rehiring for the role. But it's very much SEO and website based, if anyone's local and really tech wizzy.
Put your hand up or pop a comment in the chat if you are interested in that. It'd be good to know if that is something that you guys are interested in.
Yeah, because lots of jobs are for London, Manchester kind of area, and it's not for everyone.
No, absolutely. How what for people that that do want to apply for that role, what do you think probably would stand them in good stead? What tips maybe can you give for that application? Should they create a piece of work for it? Should they reach out to a specific person, or what would you recommend?
So everything's going through my manager Tara at the minute, and if you send an email to recruitment@versalift.co.uk, that would be a really good way to apply. And we're looking for someone who's very SEO based, does lots of keyword research, and is confident with website optimization. And we're gonna start running Google Ads, which isn't something we've done for the UK brand before. So someone who has confidence with that and has potentially run those kind of Google Ad campaigns before would be really useful. And we are looking for a little bit of experience, but it is not an entry-level role necessarily.
Okay, so maybe for those with some experience previously, that probably would be better suited, but perhaps if you're lacking experience and still quite early on in your marketing career, it probably wouldn't be too what's the word, too well suited. Can I just check I've got that email right, Holly? I've got recruitment@versaliftuk.co.uk.
Yep, that's right.
That in there. So there you go, guys. You've all got first dibs there. Brilliant. Okay. Any more questions for Holly?
Oh, it's just versalift.co.uk, sorry.
Say that again, sorry.
It's just versalift.co.uk, sorry.
There we go.
Cool.
Fabulous. Thank you very much. Oh, we have a question from Jack. Do you have different B2B audiences / segmentation?
Definitely. Within our industry, what we've done, because we're B2B, is for buyer personas, we've divided them into their industry. So we have construction, we have councils, we've got street lighting, arborists, and what we've done is we've divided them into those kind of sectors and then sort of made individual personas for each one. But that's how we've segmented it. And it's probably more relevant for LinkedIn, that segmentation, but that's how we've done it so far. I think we are looking to go a bit more in depth. They've never really done buyer personas before or done the customer journey. It is a very traditional marketing kind of business, so we're working on that at the minute.
Fantastic. I think we're all questioned out, aren't we? Oh, go on, Jack. What is your current funnel since you don't have a website?
So we do have a website. We're just completely redoing it. So we've got our current website and we've got a draft for the new one. We've got our website, we've got social media, we've got email. We've also got our sales team, which do a lot of outreach as well. So they've got their loyal customers, and it's definitely a return customer based business at the minute because we've got some pretty big accounts. So that's how we sort of bring in leads at the minute.
Sounds like you're very busy, Holly.
Oh yeah.
So cold emailing, Jack says.
A little bit, yeah. And something I've had to do a couple of times is based off of an email, I'll do telesales after it and then put that over to the sales team, because these are some of the older generation, they prefer a phone call. So that's how we've done it a little bit.
Okay. Any more questions, or are we all questioned out? I think
Just a quick one from my side. I think things like telesales is really important. Any kind of sales skills like that is actually a really important one. How do you find it, Holly, when you need to ring up the potential customers?
I was so nervous at first because it's mainly men and they're a lot older than me, and I'm calling them up, and I've had a couple where I've accidentally interrupted a holiday. But it was really nerve-wracking at first, but I just literally had a list down and I sort of had a script of how I was going to talk to them, and it was a little robotic at first, but then I just got a bit more comfortable with it. I think if you've done anything like sales assistant before, which I've done, you are used to people being a little bit rude and you just sort of have to get over the hump. And although it was nerve-wracking, it was like that one golden nugget where someone said, like, yeah, you can send me an email about that, like I'll talk to a sales guy about that. It was like, yes, I was so happy with it.
Nice. Yeah, good to know. Thank you.
I think all the questions that I would have had have been answered. Oh, there are some more questions. Jack, what would you say to your, oh, well, this is a good one. What would you say to you before boot camp self? Could you have seen yourself in your position where you are now?
I would probably say to not take things so personally, especially when you work really hard on something. I remember when I first started jobs, and lots of them ask for you to do a bit of work beforehand, and getting a no afterwards. I remember feeling like really upset that I got rejected, but I think it's just more of a change what you're doing kind of thing and just take it on the chin. I think he also asked who do I follow to stay up to date. So that's, I like a lot of female marketing accounts at the minute. So Girls in Marketing, Grad Girl Marketing is my favorite, and she holds lots of networking events as well that I'm dying to go to. And I would say that there's a couple of like smaller accounts that I really, really like as well, who haven't got like necessarily a huge following, but it's one of my connections on LinkedIn who I really like what she posts. Her name's Ruby Bradshaw, and she's really like up to date on everything as well.
Speaking of LinkedIn, actually, Holly, because I know that you are proactive on LinkedIn, in terms of your LinkedIn, not just what you're doing, you know, with the accounts that you're using in the role that you're in. So what tips would you say have worked really well for you in terms of your own LinkedIn and your personal and your personal brand? Like what do you find has worked really well for that?
Yeah. I would say relatable things are really good. I did a post about how I hate photos being taken of myself, and that performed really well. I also did a bit of a storytelling post about how I got my first job, because I did have a really horrible interview experience that I remember just being really dramatic about and being like, I'm never going to get a job. Like, this is horrible. And I did a post about that. I think just being vulnerable and relatable on LinkedIn is really good. Daily engagements on your own account as well. Every morning or every lunchtime even, I'll go through, like, and comment on other people's posts, and start conversations there. You also get, I think it's 100 like invitations that you can send out to connect with people. I'd say use those, and make sure you're not just starting conversations with your first connections, like go for the second and third connections as well, and make sure your profile's really optimized. So as you can see there, my URL is Holly Wake social media at Versalift. Edit that. I'd say make sure every part of your profile is filled out, really optimized, and also showcase your work on there as well, because that's really important too.
Fab, thank you. Jack has asked, what is your next what is your next goal now you're in a digital marketing career? Where do you want to go?
So obviously I've got a passion for social media. My goal at the minute is to become a social media manager. Now that's a couple years down the line, but that's what I'm ultimately aiming for, especially with growing these accounts. If I can successfully grow these accounts and show that I can do that, as well as I remember having a conversation with Joe in a mentor session, and Joe said to me that, you know, if you want to be trusted to run other people's accounts, you should show that you can run your own really well. So that's something I've definitely taken to heart, and that's how I'm hoping to get to a manager role in like 5 years' time.
Were you transparent about those goals with the employers that you're with now? Like, you know, are they aware that you are keen for that progression?
So I remember definitely asking in the interview, like, how much room for growth is there here? And like, how would you feel about me perhaps doing like extra learning? And I remember them being super open to that. And anything that I do, they say that's great to put on your CV, or that's really good there. So I've got a really supportive environment. I would say that it's definitely, be careful who you share it with though, because it may not always come off super well.
And do they allow you to use the work that you're creating as part of your own personal portfolio?
Yeah, I think as long as I don't put people photos in there of other people, I'm also just take the copy that I've written. So some of the storytelling pieces that I've done, or educational pieces, I'll put in my portfolio, and I won't share like things that have employees in them. They're pretty happy with that.
And how did that conversation come about? Did you ask them in the interviews, or was it after you started that you asked, you know, can I use this content for a portfolio?
It was more just based around some work that I'd done, and I was saying I was going to put it in my portfolio, and I don't even know how we got there, but the conversation came around about people consenting. The HR department is completely different now, but they didn't have a lot of people's consent forms for social media, and I remember it stemming from that it was like, just be careful putting them in your portfolio, maybe avoid that and maybe just focus on the writing. It was more so based off of people's consent.
Amazing. So I think I think that's often something that that people do when they get themselves into a role. It's like, oh, okay, I'm in the role now. I don't need to work on my portfolio because I'm here. It's fine. But actually, it's nice to know that you're still building a portfolio whilst you're there, and you're really utilizing the work that you're doing, because you never know what future opportunities you're going to get that you're going to want to go for. So I guess that's a really good tip for anyone. Even if you find yourself in a role, or if you're a freelancer and you've got you're full to capacity with clients right now, you just never really know, do you? So it's always good to ask, as you say, make sure you've got consent for the right things, and be able to start building yourself a portfolio. I've seen that happen before, where there was a girl I knew who she'd been in a role for 2 years, hadn't been working on a portfolio, came out of that role, and then really struggled to find a job after that, because there was nothing, she couldn't show anything that she'd been doing in the last 2 years, and she couldn't show that she kept up on kept up with the trends and everything. So that's a really good tip, actually, and a good piece of advice to give for everyone. Cool. Okay, I keep saying this, but any last questions? I've put your LinkedIn link in there, Holly, but I'll share it on the Slack channel as well for everyone. So everyone's got that. Oh, can you let us know the courses that you did? Are you happy just to recap those courses again, and then I'll write them down as you're reeling them off?
Yeah, so I started off with the Google Fundamentals of Digital Marketing. That was what I started out with. And then obviously Basecamp. HubSpot do lots of great courses on social media, email, inbound, content marketing. You can basically find everything on HubSpot. Some like lesser known platforms that do courses. It's called SpringPod, and they do virtual work experience, which is a bit like an online course as opposed to work experience, but it got you to do like some hands-on tasks, so that was quite helpful. And Arcadium as well do some good courses. But Grad Girl Marketing shares a lot of virtual internships and things like that, which might be really useful as well.
Heart for life, me spell Arcadium. Don't know how you spell it. I'll figure that out and put it in there. There's another question in there about the courses. Which one or which courses do you feel has benefited you the most with the current role that you're in now?
Basecamp was probably the best one, and obviously I am on Basecamp, so I'm not just saying that, I promised. Because we covered so many different topics, and it was a lot of hands-on experience, and you were listening to industry experts, I felt like that was really useful, because some of the online courses don't quite touch the little things that you would need to know. For example, the HubSpot social media course does not talk about how important daily engagements are. Like, the little things that you get from the hands-on experience, I think, are what make it. And also, when you're in an interview and they ask you these questions, you can say like, oh, I have done this. Like in my Basecamp skills course, I did cover SEO and I did do keyword research, as opposed to just saying like, yeah, I know about it.
Yeah, that wasn't a test, but I'm really glad that you said Basecamp was the best one. Fabulous. Okie dokie. Well, thank you very much, Holly. That was brilliant. I think there's been some really great questions from everyone. Some really, really valuable pieces of advice that you've shared there. It's been great to have you back.
It's been great.
This is cohort 12, so it's quite a few cohorts.
Oh yeah, that's so many.
No, I know. Yeah, we've been busy.
Yeah.
So no, yeah, loads of great feedback for you in the chat there. So as I say, I'll share your LinkedIn and everything in our Slack channels, and then if anyone wants to go and take a look at your account, I guess for inspiration as well, for your own LinkedIns. I think obviously Holly works really hard on hers, so it'd be great to take some inspiration for your own there. Yeah, I'll follow up about that role that you've got.
Yeah.
Lovely. All right then. What's the plan now then, G and Dan? Do you want us to jump off?
Yeah, so thanks Holly as well. That was really great. You got some really good
Thank
feedback
you.
in the chat. Really appreciate that. Dan, are you going to be taking your lot on a break? I know I am.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do that. Why don't we do a 30-minute break and then we come back at 3:20?
Yeah, perfect. Yeah, 3:20 is fine with me as well.
Yeah. Okay, brilliant. My group will be back on the other Zoom call, but we'll see you all back at 3:20.
Amazing.
Cheers, Holly. Cheers,
Amazing.
Joe.
Thanks,
Thanks,
guys.
boss. Take care.
Bye.
Thank you.